Okay guys. So another accounting video again, another day. Another sakit ng ulo na naman po tayo today. So ngayon, estate taxation naman. Pero we will talk about transfer taxation po dito hindi siya estate tax under income taxation. So ano ulit sa estate tax? Meron ulit siyang tao. Okay, nakahigayan. Nakahigayan kasi alam na natin na siya ay namamahinga na. Tapos sabi daw, meron siyang mga assets. Meron siyang assets na naiwanan na ang tawag natin dyan is the estate. Na yung estate na yan, inaalagaan daw yan ng isang tinatawag natin, na sabihin na lang natin, executor. Okay, siya ang nangangalaga muna yan hanggang daw sa may transfer niya yan sa kanilang mga heirs, tagapagmana. Ngayon, yung asset natin na to, upon transfer to the heirs, this is subject to estate tax of 6%. Transfer tax. Ngayon, yung income nung asset or nung executor na na-incur niya or yung asset mismo or nung estate mismo is subject to income tax. Yung income tax natin, yan yung topic natin under income taxation. Pero dito, yung topic ulit natin is yung transfer naman. The transfer tax, not the income tax. So, connected ito dun sa discussion natin about donors taxation. So before that, we'll talk about updates and changes muna. Kasi nga ang sabi nila, we never know kung ano yung lalabas sa board exam. We never know kung ano yung lalabas sa iyong mga exam. So mas better na alam na lang natin lahat. Alam natin lahat from the beginning up to the updates. Okay, ano daw yung mga changes ba sa estate tax? Unang changes natin dyan is yung allowable deduction daw natin kapag usapang citizen and resident. Okay, citizen and resident. Kapag sinabing citizen, this includes resident citizen and non-resident citizen. Pag sinabi nating resident, this includes resident citizen and resident alien. So this does not include non-resident alien engaged in trade or business and non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. Okay, so ito ngayon yan. Under the old law, under the old rule, sabi daw, meron daw tayong standard deduction of 1 million pesos. Yang standard deduction na yan, fixed deduction yan. Okay, hindi alam kung ano yung expenses na na-incur mo dyan. Ang sabi is standard, assumption, fixed deduction na 1 million pesos na nag-upgrade daw, tumaas daw ng 5 million pesos nung train law natin beginning January 1, 2018. Okay, standard deduction natin nag-increase from 1 million to 5 million pesos. Okay tayo. Tapos additional allowable deduction natin sa estate is yung mga expenses natin, losses, indebtedness, and taxes. So before daw, under the old law, yung allowable deduction daw natin na expenses, it includes funeral expense. It includes judicial expense. Nasabi daw under train law, hindi na daw sila pwedeng i-claim as deduction. Ang rationale kasi niyan, kaya hindi na daw kasama as deduction dahil daw itong mga expenses na to, assume daw natin na kasama na daw dito sa 5 billion pesos. Kaya nag-increase ito from 1 million pesos. Okay tayo? Okay. Claims against insolvent person, walang pinagbago. Unpaid mortgage, walang pinagbago. Kasama pa rin yan. Yung family home natin. Ano ba ang family home? Yan daw yung bahay na tinitirhan nung namayapa. Tapos nung buong pamilya niya. Diyan daw yan nakatira. Yung family home daw na deduction under estate tax in the old rule is sabi daw 1 million pesos. Na nag-upgrade and nag-increase from 1 million pesos naging 10 million pesos na beginning January 1, 2018. Tapos dati daw pwede ka daw mag-claim as medical expenses as long as hindi daw lumalagpas ng 500,000. Pero under train law, inalis din daw yan kasi ang assumption ulit kasama din daw yan dito sa 5 million pesos na standard deductions. So that's one of the update under estate tax. This is in accordance with the section 88 or 86 paragraph A of the tax code. And in addition, yung tax rate daw natin na bago din. Under the old law daw kasi, nag-subject pa rin daw yan sa graduated tax rate from 5% to 20%. Okay, graduated tax rate din daw yan. Pero iba yung tax rate niya doon sa income tax table natin. Magkaiba yon. Kasi yon 15% to 35%. Ito 5% to 20%. Pero ngayon daw, under the train law, ginawa na daw yan fixed rate. Fixed rate na daw yan ng 6% based on the value of the net estate. Okay, yung net estate natin, yan yung gross estate less allowable deductions. 6% na daw yan, fixed rate. Depende daw, or kahit magkano yung estate mo, mababa man o mataas, fixed rate daw tayo of 6%. Unlike dati, tumataas kapag tumataas ang estate kasi 5% to 20%. Pero ngayon, repealed na or nabago na. From 5 to 20, naging 6% fixed rate na. In addition, doon sa allowable deduction natin, in accordance with Section 86 of the paragraph B, sabi naman daw, ito naman usapang non-resident alien. Etong dalawa ngayon yan. Okay, sabi daw in accordance with non-resident alien, in accordance with Section 86 paragraph B, sabi daw meron daw silang standard deduction up to 500,000. Pero dati daw kasi hindi yan allowed under the old law. Okay, take note. So, dalawa yung standard deduction. Yes, kapag resident and citizen, 5 million. Pag non-resident alien, 500,000. Tandaan mo na lang yan. Okay tayo. Next update natin sa notice of death daw. In accordance with NIRC Section 89 of the Tax Code, sabi daw, kailangan daw natin i-inform within 2 months after the death si BIR kapag daw meron daw namatay. Okay? Or sabi daw dito, kailangan daw mag-file ka daw ng tax return or ng estate return natin within 2 months after the death by executor or administrator. Or parang kailangan mo daw mag-file ng notice of death na inalis naman daw sa train law. Okay? Notice of death po ang ipa-file dito, notice of death. Parang i-inform mo lang sila na may namatay. Namatay na siya. Sabi daw, i-inform mo daw siya within 2 months after death. Inalis daw yan under train law. Okay, in addition sa Section 90 natin about CPA certification din and the time of filing, dati daw kasi pagkailangan mo daw ng Certified Public Accountant Certification kapag daw yung gross estate daw natin is sumobra daw ng 2 million pesos. Pero ngayon daw kasi kailangan daw 5 million pesos. So nag-increase lang from 2 million to 5 million pesos. And in addition, sa Section 90, dati daw, kailangan daw mag-file ka ng estate return within 6 months from the death. Ngayon naman daw, within 1 year naman from the death. So, na-extend naman tayo. Okay, so that's one of the update. Next update natin is yung installment payment natin in accordance with Section 91, paragraph C, na walang provision dati sa old law. Na ngayon naman daw sa train law, pwede daw natin siyang i-extend. Ang sabi daw, kapag daw wala ka daw sufficient cash, then i-allow ka daw ni BIR na i-extend yung payment mo within 2 years from the statutory date of payments without any civil penalty and interest. Pwede mo daw siyang i-extend. Installment payment daw up to 2 years. Within 2 years. Okay? And next, with regards to the bank withdrawal, Section 97 of the Tax Code. Under the old law daw kasi, sabi daw, kapag daw si bangko, alam daw niya na namatay daw yung isang tao, dapat daw yung deposit daw nila, solely man o jointly, hindi daw dapat yan pinapayagang ma-withdraw. Okay, yan yung sinabi. Unless daw, taxes are paid to be certified by commissioner. Unless nabayaran na daw yung estate tax natin. Pero inalis daw yan sa train law. Sabi daw, withdrawal is already allowed. But such withdrawal is subject to 6% of final withholding tax na kailangang i-file ni bangko using BIR Form 2316. Okay, 6% of final withholding tax. Okay tayo. Sir, paano kapag bayad na yung estate tax under the new law? I-withhold ba ng 6% of final withholding tax? No, hindi na po. Sir, paano kapag nag-file ako ng ng estate tax return? Yung na-withdraw ko, kasama ba siya sa gross estate ko? Hindi na rin po. Kasi nabayaran mo naman na yung tax noon na 6% of final withholding tax. Okay tayo. So that's all for the updates. Tandaan mo na lang po yung updates, baka kasi bigyan ka pa ng old rule, na sana naman, wag na po. Okay, next natin yung pro forma computation. Paano ba natin hinahanap yung estate tax daw natin? Okay, sabi daw, hanapin mo muna yung gross estate. Ano yung gross estate? It includes all properties at the time of his death unless specifically stated as exempted under the law. Lahat ng property na naiwanan nung namayapa, kasama yan sa gross estate mo. Okay, less mga deductions. Na yung deductions natin, hinatin natin into an ordinary and special deductions. Ano yung mga ordinary deductions natin? Meron tayong mnemonics dyan, ulit TV. Paulit-ulit po yung TV. U for unpaid mortgage, L for losses, I for indebtedness, or pwede din tawaging claim against insolvent person, T for taxes na dapat yung taxes natin hindi pa bayad to be claimed as deduction sa gross estate, and transfer for public use yung isang T, and V natin yung pinakamahirap sa lahat, si vanishing deductions. I-less mo yung special deductions natin na may mnemonics din tayo dyan. Fast naman, F for family home, that is a maximum amount. Hindi yan fixed amount, unlike kay standard deduction na fixed amount of 5 million pesos or 500,000. Si family home, meron yan threshold, 10 million pesos, pero yung 10 million pesos natin, maximum amount yun. Hindi siya fixed amount. A natin, kapag daw meron ka daw amount na na-receive by heirs under RA number, RA Republic Act number 4917 or the Retirement of Private Employees Act. Okay, RA 4917 or the Retirement Pay Law. And S natin ulit for standard deduction. Gross estate less deduction, mahahanap mo yung net estate. Ano ulit yung basis ng 6% natin? Sabi ko dito is the net estate. So yung net estate natin, provided alisin mo muna kapag meron kang asawa. Pag meron kang asawa, alisin mo daw yung share ng surviving spouse dun sa estate natin. Kasi yung share daw ng asawa mo, hindi naman namatay yung asawa mo eh. So dapat hindi siya subject sa estate tax. Okay? Mahahanap mo yung net taxable estate times the tax rate is equal to the estate tax natin. Okay, tax rate natin fixed naman yan ha. 6% po yan. Okay, ulitin ko. Yung gross estate natin kasama lahat ng properties. Lahat ng properties na existing at the time of death. Lahat ng properties na existing sa pangalan niya at the time of his death. Including daw kapag nag-transfer na raw siya. Nag-transfer na raw siya dati. So hindi na wala na sa pangalan niya, pero yung pagta-transfer daw niya is under insufficient consideration. Insufficient consideration meaning binenta daw niya yung property. Binenta niya yung property, let's say for example, binenta niya yung property ng 2 million pesos. Pero yung fair market value ng property is nasa 10 million pesos. So merong kulang na 8 million pesos. Sabi daw, these are deemed transfer. It's either subject sa estate tax or subject sa donor's tax. So these are the rules. Kapag insufficient yung na-receive niya doon sa binenta niya, sabi daw it can either be subject to donor's tax or it can either be subject to estate tax. Pwede daw siyang maging subject sa capital gains tax kapag yung real property natin is classified as a capital asset. And once subject sa capital gains tax, it is not subject sa donors or sa estate tax. Okay? Kasi kapag subject ka sa capital gains tax, walang insufficient consideration. Kasi ang tinatax mo naman dyan, yung mas mataas natin na fair market value. Okay tayo. Kapag naman sufficient daw yung consideration, it can either be, pag sufficient kasi parang nangyari, hindi siya gratuitous transfer. So, onerous transfer na yan. Binenta mo yan. So, subject yan sa income tax or sa business tax. Kapag ordinary asset. Pero kapag capital asset, still subject sa capital gains tax. So ito na lang yung question. Sir, paano ko malalaman kung subject siya sa donor's tax or subject siya sa estate tax? Depende ngayon yan. Depende. Bakit mo nga ba binenta under insufficient consideration? Iniisip mo ba mamamatay ka na? Or hindi mo naman iniisip na mamamatay ka na? So ganito ngayon yun. Kapag yung transfer mo dito is revocable. Pag revocable ulit, yung may tao na nag-transfer, siya pa yung may-ari ng property. So kung siya pa yung may-ari ng property, then such property is still existing at the time of its death, of his death. So such property is subject sa estate tax. Okay? Yung property certain transfer ko na irrevocably. nung nabubuhay pa ako. Pero bakit mo tinransfer? Kasi alam kong mamamatay na ako bukas. Then still, it is subject to estate tax. Sir, paano sir? Kapag nag-transfer ako under general power of appointment. Ano yung general power of appointment na yan? For example, okay, for example, eto, namatay. Merong asset. Yung asset, shinare niya kay A, B, or C. Yan yung mga tagapagmana niya. Si A, sabi niya, ibigay ko na lang yan kay B or kay C kung sino man ang kukuha sa kanila. Kasi meron akong sama ng loob dyan sa tatay ko na yan. So ayaw yan tumanggap ng kahit na ano sa kanila. Yung pag-transfer ni A kay B and kay C is considered as a general power of appointment. Pag sinabing general power of appointment, in-appoint niya yung property niya nang hindi siya namili sa kahit na kanino sa kanila. General daw yon. It is subject daw sa estate tax. Kasi as if yung pag-transfer ni A kay B and kay C, hindi siya talaga nag-transfer. Hindi lang niya tinanggap yung property na to, kaya pinaghatian siya ni B and pinaghatian siya ni C. So, subject sa estate tax. Kasi yung transfer, subject dito. Okay, sir, paano ko naman malalaman kapag subject sa donor's tax? Subject daw siya sa donor's tax kapag tinransfer mo siya nung nabubuhay ka, tapos irrevocable yung pagka-transfer mo. Or kapag naman daw, tinransfer mo siya irrevocably and hindi dahil sa contemplation of death. Dahil hindi dahil sa alam mong mamamatay ka na. And nag-transfer ka under special power of appointment. Ano yung special power of appointment? O merong namatay, tapos tinransfer ulit kay A, kay B, tapos kay C. Sabi ni A, hindi ko tatanggapin yung property ko, ibigay mo na lang yan kay B kasi si B yung favorite ko sa dalawang sa dalawa kong kapatid. So, ang nangyari, specifically binigay ni A kay B. So, yung pag-transfer ni A and kay B, subject yan sa donor's tax. Sir, paano yung pag-transfer nito kay A? Hindi na ba subject sa estate tax? Still, subject pa rin yan sa estate tax. Okay, yung transfer niya subject sa estate, yung transfer nito subject sa donor's tax. Okay? So, kailangan ko bang i-differentiate kung subject sa donor's tax or subject sa estate tax? Same rate pa rin naman yan, is 6%. So, parehas pa rin naman ako ng babayaran kay BIR. Yes, supposed to be. Ang kaso kasi, magkaiba kasi yung valuation ng properties natin sa estate tax and sa donor's tax. Kasi ang sabi daw, kapag daw estate tax daw natin, yung fair market value daw, upon death, yun daw dapat yung value ng property mo. Less yung mga consideration na na-receive mo dito. O yun yung taxable estate natin. Kapag naman donor's tax daw kasi, yung fair value daw ng property mo is upon transfer or upon sale. Dito upon death, dito upon transfer or upon sale. Less consideration is equal to the taxable gift. Possible na magkaiba kasi yung fair market value nung namatay ka na versus yung fair market value nung tinransfer mo lang siya. Okay tayo? So, yan yung kailangan mo tandaan sa proforma. Tandaan mo po itong proforma natin. Yan yung pinakasimpleng proforma computation ng estate tax. Medyo magiging komplikado yan kapag meron tayong share of surviving spouse. Kasi meron tayong executive, tapos communal pa doon, exclusive, tapos conjugal pa doon. Okay? Pero tsaka mo na problemahin yun. Isipin mo na lang muna yung mga basic concepts natin. Okay, bigyan ko naman kayo ng illustration dyan kapag nagsasagot na tayo mismo ng transfer tax. Okay? Compare natin anong difference ng donors and estate tax. Number one definition natin, the number one difference nila, si donors tax tinatawag as donation inter vivo, estate tax tinatawag as donation mortis causa. Okay? Pangalawang differences nila. Pag donor's tax, kailangan mo siyang bayaran within 30 days from the date of donation. Sa estate tax naman, kailangan mo siyang bayaran within 1 year naman daw. From the time of its death, na pwede mo siyang bayaran for installment basis for a period of 2 years. Si donor's tax, wala daw extension yung 30 days and yung BIR form daw na gagamitin, 1800. Si estate tax daw, pwede daw siyang ma-extend. Pwede daw ma-extend yung pag-file mo ng 1 year natin up to 30 days. Pwede mo ding ma-extend ulit yung payment mo up to 2 years. Ang BIR form na ginagamit is number 1801. Okay, 1800 for donor's tax, 1801 for estate tax. Okay tayo. Ito naman ngayon, difference ng transfer tax sa income tax natin. Tama, may citos tayo sa income tax. Yes, meron ding citos sa transfer tax. Actually, parehas lang yun. Meron lang magkakaroon lang ng konting variation. Okay? For the purposes of transfer tax natin, citus of transfer tax. For the purposes of citus of transfer tax natin, hahatiin natin yung mga classifications natin into a resident and citizen. Yung non-resident alien, it includes engaged in trade or business and those not engaged in trade or business, pero without reciprocity. Pag sinabing without reciprocity, walang tax treaty yan, walang international committee dyan. Dito, non-resident alien with reciprocity, merong agreement. Ulitin ko, resident citizen, resident, it includes resident citizen and resident alien. Citizen, it includes non-resident citizen. Ngayon, yung estate daw natin, yung asset daw kasi nung namayapa ni dissident, it can either be a real property or a personal property. Kasi personal property, pwedeng tangible and intangible. So, what is the rule? Sabi daw, if you are a resident citizen, resident or a citizen, kahit kahit resident alien, regardless daw kung saan nakalocate yung real property and personal property mo, nakalocate man daw yan inside or outside the Philippines, sabi daw lahat daw yan taxable sa transfer tax of 6%. Kapag naman daw non-resident alien ka daw, lahat lang daw ng properties mo inside the Philippines, yun lang daw ang taxable. Lahat ng properties mo outside the Philippines, hindi daw yun taxable sa transfer tax. Same as well dun sa non-resident alien with reciprocity. Ang difference lang po kapag intangible properties. Kapag meron ka daw intangible personal property na nakalocate inside the Philippines, pwede daw siyang maging exempted. Maging exempted kapag merong agreement. Yung agreement po is up to intangible personal property only. Okay? So that's the rules ha. Tandaan mo na lang yung difference ulit. Difference sa income and sa transfer taxes natin. So ano ba yung number one difference? Kasi sa income tax natin, tama, si non-resident citizen na dito kasama dito and si resident alien taxable lang doon sa mga properties niya inside the Philippines. Lahat ng properties or income na nanggaling outside the Philippines, lahat yun exempted. Pero dito, taxable lahat inside and outside the Philippines kahit si non-resident citizen and kahit si resident alien. Okay tayo. Next, property valuation. Paano mo daw i-value yung real property? Sabi daw si real property daw natin, i-compare mo daw si zonal value and si assessor's value. O alam mo na yan, same lang yan sa capital gains tax. Tapos yung yung assessor's value daw, pwede daw maging province ang nagbigay or pwedeng city ang nagbigay. Whichever is higher lang naman sa kanila. Kay zonal and kay assessor's value. Ito yung bago sa atin ngayon, yung stocks. Paano daw kapag mayroong stocks yung property or yung dissident? Sabi daw kung yung stocks mo daw is listed or traded, hanapin mo daw yung average. Average daw ng stock natin kasi usually oras-oras nag-fluctuate yun. So sa isang araw, the moment na mamatay daw siya, kasi at the time of death lagi ang valuation, dun sa araw na yun, hanapin mo magkano yung lowest value ng stock na yun. Tapos yung highest value ng stock na yun. Ipag-plus mo lang sa kanila, i-divide mo yung 2, yun yung average or yung mean na sinasabi dito. Kapag naman daw hindi listed sa stock exchange, sabi daw, depende daw. Kung yung stocks mo daw is a common share or ordinary share, sabi daw, yung book value daw. Okay, yung book value, ano yung book value natin? It composes of the share capital, this is the par, and it composes of share premium, this is the excess of par. Okay, preferred share naman daw natin, si preferred share natin is at par value lang naman daw. This is the share capital only. Yung share premium natin, ignore mo lang daw yan sa valuation ng real or ng stocks ni dissident. Nakuha. Next, last na concept natin, yung property regime. This is regarding the Family Code of the Philippines. Okay, sa Family Code of the Philippines, nagkaroon kasi ng upgrade. Okay, dati kasi daw, kapag daw kinasal ka before August 3, 1988, yung property regime mo daw, ang exception or ang general rule daw natin, you are subject to a conjugal partnership of gains. CPG ang tawag dyan. CPG. So sa property regime, 4 yan. Yung 3, mnemonics natin, CAS. Tapos yung isa naman kasi live-in partner yan. Okay, live-in partner lang. So hindi talaga yan kinasal. Okay, yan yung magkasama without a valid marriage. Okay tayo. CPG, Conjugal Partnership of Gains, may araw tayo before August 3, 1988. On or after August 3, 1988, ang tawag na daw natin is Absolute Community of Property. Ito yung nangyayari ngayong araw. ACP naman ito. Kapag meron naman tayong tinatawag na complete separation of property, ito yung tinatawag natin, yan yung usually nangyayari kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng prenuptial agreement na tinatawag. Okay, yan yung mga famous ngayon sa mga artista at sa mga mayayaman na sinasabi kung ano yung property niya, yun lang yung property daw ng lalaki. Property ng babae, separate daw sa property ng lalaki. Pero kapag hindi, we never assume complete separation of property unless filed, okay? Kapag hindi sinabing magko-complete separation tayo or magkakaroon ng ganyang agreement, dito tayo sa ACP, Absolute Community of Partnership. Ngayong araw to. Pero kapag kinasal before August 3, 1988, then CPG tayo. Conjugal Partnership of Gains. Okay? Ito na ngayon, sir, paano pag hindi kinasal? Live-in partner lang, magkasama. Tapos meron kami parehas na property. Itong property regimen po pala, ito yung hatian ng property ng mag-asawa. Okay? Paano daw hahatiin yung property ng mag-asawa? Property daw ba nilang mag-asawa yon? Or property daw ba nung lalaki or nung babae lang yon? Okay? Okay. So kapag daw live-in partner daw tayo, it applies the rules of co-ownership. Okay? It applies the rule of co-ownership. Or pwede daw naman daw na based lang on actual contribution. Kapag co-ownership daw ang mag-a-apply, kapag daw without legal impediment. Anong ibig sabihin ng without legal impediment? Dito daw, hindi sila kinasal dahil lang sa hindi sila makapagpakasal. Na walang legal na nagre-restrict sa kanila na magpakasal. Kapag naman daw with legal impediment, ito hindi kinasal dahil bawal sa batas. Bakit bawal sa batas? Kasi possible na yung isa sa kanila may asawa dati na naghiwalay tapos nakiki-live-in sa bagong babae. Okay, with legal impediment. Bawal ikasal kasi kasal daw sa iba. Ito, pwedeng ikasal, hindi lang makapagpakasal. Kapag daw without legal impediment, co-ownership applies daw. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng co-ownership applies? Yung property niya, tapos property mo daw, magkaparehas daw kayo doon na may-ari nun. Co-owner daw kayo sa property na yon. Kapag naman daw based on actual contribution daw, ang sabi daw with legal impediment daw, kapag with legal impediment daw, based on actual contribution lang daw. Merong lalaki, merong babae, magkano yung nilagay ni babae sa property nila. Yun lang yung property ng babae. Yung binigay ni lalaki na property dito, yun lang yung property ni lalaki. Okay? Hindi sila hati dyan. Based lang kung magkano yung kinontribute ng isa't isa. Pero si co-ownership, nag-contribute yung isa. Nag-contribute yung lalaki. Property na nila yung dalawa. Nag-contribute yung babae. Property na nila yung dalawa yan. Okay tayo? So yun yung live-in partner natin. So medyo madali lang yon. Isipin mo na lang without legal impediment or with legal impediment. So let's move on. Dito tayo ngayon sa Conjugal Partnership of Gains and sa Absolute Community of Property. Mas madali nating maiintindihan ito kapag i-compare natin yung differences nilang dalawa. Okay? From the word itself, Conjugal Partnership of Gains. Ibig sabihin daw, lahat, kapag sinabing conjugal po, okay, pag sinabing conjugal, property nilang mag-asawa. Pag sinabing community, property din nilang mag-asawa. Okay, mas ginagamit lang yung conjugal na term kapag yung property regimen is Conjugal Partnership of Gains. Ginagamit yung communal na term. Communal ang tawag dyan. Communal na term kapag ang property regimen is Absolute Community of Property. Okay? From the word itself ulit, Conjugal Partnership of Gains, property nilang dalawa, lahat daw ng income or ng gains. Yun yung sinasabi. Dito naman, Absolute Community of Property. Property daw nilang dalawa, lahat daw ng property nila. Before ikasal. Absolute nga ang sinasabi. Kaya, absolute. Lahat ng property nilang dalawa. Ito, lahat lang ng gains, yun yung property nilang dalawa. So, isa-isay natin para mas malinaw tayo. Under conjugal partnership of gains, sabi, all property acquired during marriage, whether the acquisition appears to have been made, contracted, or registered in the name of one or both spouses is presumed to be conjugal. Anong sinabi dyan? Pag sinabing during, okay, during dito, kinasal na yan. Sabi, lahat daw ng property na binili daw nung kinasal daw sila. Sabi daw, wala daw pakialam kung binili man ng isa lang or binili nilang dalawa. Sabi daw, it is presumed to be conjugal. It is presumed to be their both properties. Kapag daw ulit binili, after nilang ikasal. Ano daw yung mga hindi kasama? Pag sinabing exclusive, hindi daw kasama. Exclusive property. Pag sinabing exclusive property, property lang nung isa sa kanila. Yun naman yung exclusive. Yun yung kabaliktaran ng conjugal. Okay, same dito. Communal, kabaliktaran ng communal, yung exclusive din. Okay, so ano daw yung mga exclusive properties under conjugal partnership of gains? Sabi daw, properties brought into marriage. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Lahat daw ng property nung lalaki bago daw siya ikasal before marriage is property lang daw nung lalaki. Lahat naman ng property ng babae bago ikasal sa lalaki is property lang daw nung babae. Okay? Oh, let's say for example, sir, yung property ng lalaki, pinapaupahan niya. Merong rental income. Anong tawag doon? Fruits. Anong tawag doon? Gains. Ano ulit rules natin? Lahat ng gains, property nilang dalawa. Lahat ng gains, income nilang dalawa. So, dito sa number 1, except daw tayo yung fruits. Hindi daw kasama sa exclusive ang fruits. Okay? O, medyo nalilito ka. Ganito. O, si A, tapos si B. Mag-asawa. Meron siyang property. Meron siyang property. Etong property ni A or ng lalaki, property lang ng lalaki. Yung property ng babae, property lang ng babae. Kasi property nila yan bago sila ikasal. Lahat ng property nila, for example, gumawa sila ng isang property after ikasal daw. Etong property na to, property nilang dalawa yan. Okay? Sir, merong income to. Yung income neto, may income. Okay? Yung income neto, income din ng babae. Yung income neto, income din ng lalaki. Sir, ito, income neto, income ng lalaki, and income din ng babae. Hati sila doon. Yun yung sinasabi dyan. Okay? Pangalawang exclusive, yung hindi daw pagmamay-ari nilang dalawa. Kapag daw meron silang properties na nakuha naman during marriage, ibig sabihin after marriage, pero by gratuitous title. Ito nangyari dito, meron nakuhang property. May nakuhang property after nilang ikasal. Pero nakuha nila yung property hindi dahil binili nila. Hindi dahil income nila yun. But rather dahil binigay sa kanila ng walang kapalit. Gratuitous title. Okay, sabi daw, exclusive property daw kung kanino man binigay yung property na yon. Except lang ulit pag mayroong fruits doon. Okay, and except din ulit, sabi daw, it is considered as a conjugal property if yung nasa contract o nandun sa kontrata na sinasabi yung property na ibinigay after marriage is para daw sa kanilang mag-asawa. Pero pag ang sinabi doon, para lang kay lalaki yung dinodonate ko, para lang kay lalaki yung dinodonate ko. Yung property na yon. Para lang kay babae yung dinodonate ng isang tao, para lang kay babae yung property na yon. Kahit after marriage pa yon na-receive. Kasi gift are not considered as income. Okay? Number 3, exclusive natin. Acquired by right of redemption, barter, or exchange with property belonging to one of spouses. Anong sinasabi dito? Parehas yan kay number 3 and kay number 4. Sabi naman sa number 4, that which is purchased with exclusive money of wife or husband. Anong sinasabi? For example daw, itong property ng lalaki, binenta daw niya. O yung binenta niya, may gain siya. Yung gain niya, hati sila. Yung cost ng property, yung baliktaya lang siya, property ng lalaki yun. Okay? Pagka lalaki lang yun. Sabihin na natin yung pinagbentahan niya, bumili din siya ng bagong property. O yung bagong property na to, kay lalaki pa rin yan. Kasi yung ginamit niyang pambili dito, yung exclusive property niya. Yun yung sinasabi na ito. Number 4. Okay? And yung sinasabi naman dito, let's say for example, merong sariling pera si lalaki, tapos ginamit niya ulit pambili ng bagong property. Yung property na yun is an exclusive property ng lalaki lang. Okay? Yun yung sinasabi under conjugal partnership of gains. General rule natin pag CPG, lahat ng income, lahat ng gain, pagmamay-ari nilang mag-asawa. Lahat ng property bago ikasal, property lang ng isa sa kanila. Lahat ng properties na na-receive after kasal, property lang nung isa sa kanila unless sinabi na yung property na yun is para sa kanilang dalawa. Okay? Ano ngayon yung absolute community of property? Sabi dito sa absolute community of property, unless otherwise provided, community property shall consist of, sabi daw, lahat ng property na pagmamay-ari ng mga mag-asawa at the time of celebration of marriage. Ibig sabihin, yung property ng lalaki, tapos yung property ng babae, nung kinasal sila, property na nila yung dalawa. Yun yung sinasabi dito sa absolute community of property. Letter B, sabi daw, lahat din daw ng binili nila after nilang ikasal, same din dito, is property pa rin daw nila. Okay, lahat ng property nila bago ikasal, lahat ng property na binili after kasal, property nila yung mag-asawa. Ano naman daw yung hindi kasama? Yung exclusive properties daw natin is kapag daw yung property daw is binili ng after ikasal or nakuha daw yung property after ikasal using gratuitous title. Dinonate lang ulit sa kanila. Okay, dinonate sa kanila, ang sabi daw, dinonate lang daw kay lalaki, din yung property na yun, kay lalaki lang daw yun. Dinonate lang daw kay babae, din yung property na yun, kay babae lang din daw yun. So, donation lang ito. Ang nag-iiba lang dito sa conjugal partnership and absolute community, dito kapag daw nagkaroon ng income, yung property na dinonate kay lalaki, then yung fruits daw na yun, yung income din daw na yun, is income lang din daw nung lalaki. Okay? Kasi yung all gains, nandito lang yan sa conjugal partnership of gains. Hindi na yun kasama sa absolute community of property. Okay. Kapag naman daw, same applies lang din dito. Kapag naman yung property na na-receive is through gratuitous title, pero sinabi dun sa kontrata na para sa kanilang mag-asawa, then yung property na yun para sa kanilang mag-asawa. Okay. Number 2. Property for personal exclusive use of either spouse. Ano yan? Merong property. Si lalaki tapos si babae. Yung lalaki, yung property ni lalaki, personal use lang ng lalaki yun. Yung lalaki lang ang pwedeng gumamit, hindi yun kayang gamitin ng babae. For example na lang, underwear. Okay, brief, panty. Then such properties will only be exclusive property of the husband and the wife. Except daw kapag jewelry. Kapag daw alahas. Kapag daw alahas, kahit daw alahas lang daw nung lalaki, babae yan. Kasi hikaw daw yan, earrings daw yan. Di naman daw nag-i-earrings yung lalaki. Yung hikaw daw na yun is considered as property of both the husband and the wife. Kasi considered sila as jewelry. Kahit na yung jewelry na yan, kasya lang kay babae, such jewelry will still be considered as their conjugal or communal property. Property nila yung mag-asawa. Okay? Yung personal or exclusive use of either spouse, ang sinasabi lang dito, yung mga underwears natin. Yung mga damit natin. Okay? Except ulit jewelries. Number 3. Sabi, and last number 3, properties acquired before the marriage by either spouse who has legitimate descendants by a former marriage. Anong nangyari? Anong kwento dito? Ang kwento dito, for example, yung lalaki, mayroong asawa dati. Namatay yung asawa niya dati. So, pwede na siyang ikasal ulit ngayon. Kinasal daw siya sa babae. So, may property yung lalaki, may property yung babae. Ang sabi daw, yung property ng babae, property nilang mag-asawa. Pero yung property ng lalaki, property lang daw ng lalaki. Kasi yung property daw na niya yun, kapag daw namatay yung lalaki, nakaiwan daw yun doon sa mga anak niya, doon sa dati niyang asawa. Yun yung sinasabi. Kapag meron siyang dating anak or meron siyang anak doon sa dati niyang asawa. Hindi daw yun magiging property nilang dalawa, property lang daw yun nung lalaki. Okay tayo. So, putulin muna natin dito yung video discussion natin about transfer tax with regards to estate taxation. Next meeting or next video discussion, alamin naman natin yung mga compositions or yung mga explanations netong mga allowable deductions. Yun lang muna. God bless, good luck, and always, ciao!